Hello students, welcome to my channel Biology Foundation. This is part 5 of Unit 4 Health and Hygiene. In my previous parts we have discussed about food, what are the components in food or various nutrients present in food. We have discussed about carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and along with that it's very important that we take proper amount of water, and food must be rich in fiber, right? And we were discussing about various factors that affect our health. We started with balanced diet, how our meal must contain food items containing all the nutrients in it, as a result of which our body gets enough nourishment, it gets all the required nutrients, and thus allows proper growth and development of our body, right? And we have also discussed not only just having balanced diet, it is very important for every individual to take proper rest or sleep and to do adequate amount of exercise, because exercise keeps our internal organs basically healthy by strengthening our muscles, seeing that our heart rate, the rate at which our heart is beating, is optimum, and lungs also relax and expand properly, our mind gets relaxed, right? So in this way, when we do exercising daily, then circulation of blood occurs properly, and even our mind remains happy and healthy. And proper rest is also required. If there is no sleep, then there is lack of memory, that is memory loss, or your mind remains dull, you can't concentrate on a particular activity. So it's very important that sleep is maintained at a optimum rate, where for adults it's usually 6 to 7 hours, right? And then we have discussed about personal hygiene. When we talked about personal hygiene, we spoke about certain changes that we have to make in our lifestyle in order to grow into a healthy individual, and the good habits that we need to incorporate and do them daily, so that we uh, basically grow into healthy individuals. In personal hygiene, we talked about oral hygiene, how to take care of our teeth, which help in grinding our food, chewing our food, or breaking our food into tiny bits and pieces. And we talked about hair care, where hair, the exposed part of the hair is the shaft, which is the dead portion, whereas the living tissue is present inside the scalp, which is known as the root, right? And what are the tips to grow healthy, long, shiny hair? And we also discussed about eye care, where eyes are sensitive and delicate organs which help us see the beautiful world around us or the beautiful nature around us. And what are the tips that we need to follow? Like, if you have any problem, you need to contact your ophthalmologist, or um, I mean, stay away from electronic gadgets, or when you're reading a book, maintain the distance between the book and your eyes of around 25 to 30 centimeters. And whenever you are studying or reading or doing your homework, you have to see that your room is well ventilated with proper light, and your diet must basically contain vitamin A rich food, right? So, this is what we talked about personal hygiene. And in the last class, if you remember, we talked about community hygiene. If you take care of your body, okay, that's good, that you can grow into a healthy individual, but even your surroundings must be kept clean. So if you remember, we talked about what actually community is, right? When I say community, it's basically a group of people who are living together in a particular area, and keeping that surrounding clean is a group effort, okay, it's a team effort. And there are civic bodies which take care of the community, of the health of the community. Like in villages you have panchayats, and in towns you basically have your municipalities, okay? And it is their responsibility to see or to give basic needs for the people, like safe drinking water, healthcare, then parks and gardens for recreational purposes, safe disposal of waste, right? And in detail, we have talked about uh, disposal of waste, where we talked about the sewer system, the sewage system, how dumping also helps in disposal, and composting, where either we take the help of microorganisms for decomposing the substances, or if we use earthworms, then you call it as vermicomposting. And sometimes, if the Now, if there are two types of substances, if you remember, biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances. Biodegradable substances are those which can be broken down by bacteria and fungi, and soil take later those substances are buried in the soil, and the soil becomes rich or fertile with those nutrients. Whereas non-biodegradable substances are those which cannot be decomposed by bacteria or fungi. Such substances usually we recycle them. Okay, so you can recycle plastics or glasses to make other new items out of it. And we also discussed how water is very important, and though we have 70% of the earth is covered with water, but still it's not potable, it's not safe for drinking. You need to filter it, you need to see that the salts are removed from it, and the microorganisms which are present in water bodies are killed before we consume it. Okay, so we talked about boiling, how chlorination helps in killing the microorganisms, and even we can use water filtration systems. And if the water is muddy, just add alum, then the muddy particles get settled down, and then the water can be filtered. So, when you do filtration, I don't remember if I told you this point or not. You During filtration, what actually happens is UV rays present in the filter, the UV rays, they see that the microbes, whatever are present in water, are killed. Okay, so in the filter systems, basically, when the water is being filtered, UV rays pass through the water. Okay, and whatever microbes are present in the water, they are killed by the UV rays present in the filter systems. Right. Now, one more part of our health is, if you see the slide in this if you see the picture in this slide, okay, you can see that there is smoke emitting from factories, and you can see someone burning the wood, right? And right here you can see a person coughing, and there's a picture of the lungs, and you can see deforestation. Here you can see clean energy, there is wind energy, and people are using cycling. So today our topic for uh, this part, or in this video, is about pollution. Even pollution around us can affect our health, though we are having proper diet, though we are sleeping properly, doing our exercises, okay, maintaining personal hygiene, maintaining community hygiene, but still, if the environment around us is polluted, then even that can affect our health. Now, if you see, we'll first understand what actually is pollution, then come back to the slide where I'll discuss about the cause of pollution. Okay, when I say pollution, it is any harmful unwanted substance. Okay, any harmful unwanted substance that is present in the environment or that gets added to the environment. And because of this harmful substance, what actually is happening, it is affecting the health of human beings, not only humans, affecting the health of living organisms, we can say in that way. And even these harmful unwanted substances which are getting accumulated in the environment, they are basically decreasing the quality of the environment. Okay, then you call it as pollution. Okay, what is pollution? The presence of any harmful unwanted substances in the environment which is affecting the natural health of living organisms, and in turn decreasing the quality of the natural environment around us, then you call it as pollution. Okay, and those substances which cause pollution, them those substances we call them as pollutants. Now here you can see there are certain, like from the chimneys you can see smoke, right? The smoke coming from these chimneys, and it's obviously affecting the quality of the air around us, right? All this the smoke that's coming from the factory, it's rich in harmful gases. Okay, and all these gases, they get escaped into the atmosphere, into the environment, affecting the air quality. Here you can see the water body with so much garbage dumped in it, right? Will it affect, like here you can see plastic bottles as well, which are non-biodegradable, so obviously it will affect the quality of water. And here you can see that entire garbage is dumped in a particular area, right? So what is pollution? It is the presence of unwanted harmful substances in the environment, which is in turn affecting the health of the living organisms, because we breathe in the air around us. We utilize the water present in the water bodies like rivers and oceans, right? So it's affecting the health of the individuals and also affecting the quality of the environment. Now the air that is present in the environment is not pure air, it's completely filled with chemicals. And even the water present in the water bodies, it's not the pure natural water, but it's completely contaminated with plastic and other microorganisms. So here you can see pictures, two pictures, where in one you can clearly see the sky, right, with white clouds, and the other you can see that the clouds are completely black because of the smoke emitted from the factory, right? Clearly you can see that the smoke is affecting the quality of the environment around us. So what could be the cause of pollution? So I said pollution is presence of harmful unwanted substances in nature which is affecting the quality of the environment and even greatly affecting the health of human beings, animals, etc. First reason for pollution is increased population. Greater the population, greater is the chance for pollution. Okay. And second thing is urbanization, where many people are traveling from the rural areas and coming to urban areas, to the developed cities. It could be for education, or it could be for jobs, it could be for health facilities whatsoever, but most of the people are coming from rural areas, from villages to towns and big cities. So as a result of which the towns and cities are getting more populated, and there is overburden of natural resources. Third reason for pollution is industrialization. There are many industries that are being built. Okay, what industries? It could be paper industry. For us to make a notebook, you need papers, right? So paper industry, or it could be textile industries to generate clothes, or it could be uh, painting industries. Okay, so industrialization also is the major cause for pollution because it releases various kinds of harmful gases. Okay, these harmful gases are acting as pollutants. They are the substances which are harmful and unwanted substances that get released into the atmosphere, resulting in decrease in the quality of the air that we breathe in. So the main reasons of pollution could be overpopulation, urbanization, that is most of the people from the rural areas, they're coming to the towns. It could be for various reasons, either for education purpose, for jobs, for health facilities, whatever it could be. But urbanization, thirdly industrialization, these are the reasons for pollution. Now when I say pollution, we know that it is damaging our nature, damaging our environment. So pollution can be of different types, right? It could be air pollution, where you are damaging the quality of air, or it could be water pollution, where if you know, for example, if you are talking about an industry, okay, paper industry, or textile industry, or a paint industry, these industries, after they, during the process of making a product, now for a paper industry the final product is to make sheets of paper. For paint industry, to make a paint, okay, a color. For textile industry, it's a piece of cloth. Now during this process where the product is obtained, there are many waste products that are released by these industries. These waste substances are released in two ways. One is in the form of smoke. Okay, for in some industries it's released as smoke. Okay, and in some industries the waste substances are released as liquid substances which are highly toxic. And these liquid substances from the industries, if they are directly released into water bodies like your rivers, oceans, or to the nearby lakes and ponds, then the water is highly contaminated, highly polluted, and it is not suitable for drinking. So you are basically damaging the water bodies, natural water bodies. So one is air pollution, second is water pollution. Thirdly, you also have soil pollution. What is soil pollution? You might have seen farmers in their fields. We all know that when the farmers grow crops, these crops, they get diseased because of insects or because of weeds growing around them, or there might be some pests growing which can damage the crop. Once if the farmer identifies that the crop is being infested by insects or pests, what does he do? He goes to a shop and starts buying fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides, right? When I say pesticide, it is a substance which kills pests. Insecticide, a chemical substance which kills insects. Okay, so he buys them which these insecticides and pesticides are rich in chemicals. Okay, he starts spraying into the field. Okay, why is he spraying in the field? Because his crop is getting affected because of the insects. Now if he sprays the insecticide kills the insect, and his crop is safe, his or her crop is safe. Okay, so basically when these insecticides and fertilizers, pesticides are sprayed into the soil, plants, like most, now these farmers, they spray them in an excessive amount because they want to kill the insects and pests. As a result, what happens is more like excess amount of the pesticides and insecticides get accumulated in the soil. Okay, and once there is a heavy rain, these insecticides and pesticides, they get carried into the water bodies, and even they get leached in the soil. In that way it causes soil pollution or land pollution. We'll talk about soil pollution later, but try to understand that pollution can be, when I say pollution, it is damaging our environment because of the presence of unwanted harmful substances. Not only damaging our environment, in turn we are affecting our own health. Okay, now this pollution can be of different types. It can be air pollution, where you are affecting the quality of air you breathe. It can be water pollution, where the water is not potable, not suitable for drinking because it is highly contaminated with chemicals. Or it can be soil pollution, where soil is completely polluted with excess amount of fertilizers, pesticides or insecticides. Or there can be noise pollution, where uh, noise pollution is you any unwanted sound is a noise, is noise. Okay, unwanted sound is noise, and when this noise exceeds a limit, it can damage our ears. Okay, because our ears are also sensitive, delicate organs. They can bear sounds of only up to a particular extent. If it crosses that limit, certain decibels, then obviously ears can get damaged, and you can suffer or face the problem of hearing loss. Okay, so when I say pollution, it's basically the accumulation or presence of any unwanted harmful substance which is affecting the quality of the environment. Quality of environment, when I say, it can affect the quality of air we breathe, or the quality of water we drink, or the quality of the soil. Okay, and can in turn affect the health of individuals. So today we will talk in detail about air pollution, like what is air pollution, what are the causes of air pollution, that means what are the sources, main sources for air pollution, how can we actually prevent air pollution, what are the effects of air pollution. Okay, so here, as I told you, like you can see two pictures here. You can see clear sky where the clouds are white and you can clearly see the sky. But here the clouds are completely black because of the smoke released from the industries. And when there is more pollution, you can't see the sky clearly. Visibility also reduces because of pollution. Maybe you can take this example. During winter season, early in the morning, when you see the sky, how does it look? It looks very foggy, right? You can't clearly see the sky properly. Now when there are high levels of pollutants in the environment, your sky looks similar to the foggy sky. Okay, where the visibility is completely reduced, and that's because of the high pollutants present in the sky. During winter, that's because of the fog. But usually, even during evening time, sometimes you might see a foggy sky. That's because of more amount of pollutants present in the sky. Okay, so air pollution, as I said, can it can be due to various reasons. Something like because of burning of wood, or when there is movement of certain equipment on the soil, there could be dust that's arising. Okay, even uh, uh, dust can also act as a factor for air pollution. Or smoking, when a person smokes, they release carbon monoxide gas. Okay, carbon monoxide gas, which is highly monoxide, which is highly toxic. Okay, so when a person is smoking, or even when people drive, you all know the exhausts, right? Exhaust of trucks, lorries, or cars, even scooters, they release a lot of smoke. Why is this smoke produced? Because of the burning of the diesel or burning of the petrol which is used inside the vehicle. Okay, so this burning of petrol and diesel releases various kinds of harmful chemicals or harmful gases like carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide. Okay, here you can see O atom three times. It is called ozone, O3. Okay. This is sulfur dioxide. This is carbon monoxide. And here you have H2S. This is hydrogen sulfide. Okay. So basically, when I say air pollution, there are certain harmful substances present in the environment which are affecting the natural quality of air. Now, what are the reasons for air pollution? It could be burning of wood or burning of coal, it could be the dust, it could be smoking, or the exhaust released from vehicles due to the burning of diesel and petrol, or release of various harmful gases in the environment can result in air pollution. Now, let's understand the sources of air pollution. What are the major sources of air pollution? Industries are considered to be the first major source of air pollution. As I told you in the first slide, that pollution in the environment, whether it is water pollution, land pollution, or air pollution, it could be because of overpopulation, industrialization, or urbanization. Now, air pollution major cause is industrialization. When I say industrialization, is nothing but development or development of mini industries. Okay, so that is industrialization. So when there are more industries, whether it is paper industry or textile industry, painting industry, or industries related to certain industries, they release various kinds of waste products. Now if you see here, you have uh, textile industry, and where their main product and product of textile industry is to generate a textile, right? During this process of generating a particular cloth, there is one process known as bleaching process. And during this bleaching process, what happens, these industries release a harmful gas which is Cl2, chlorine. Okay, and here you can see paper industries, basically they release various harmful gases like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide. Paint industries also release these gases. Okay, so industries, you can see uh, this anytime whenever you go on the roads, right, for road trips or something, or when you go from home to school or school to home back, if, like when you find industries on the road, just observe, there will be tall chimneys, and from these chimneys there will be smoke coming. Okay, that's basically the waste products which are released by the industries, and all the smoke that which is rich in harmful gases, it's getting into the atmosphere, thus reducing the pure quality of air that we breathe. So the major source of air pollution is industries, where industries, when they are producing a final product, during this process certain waste products are generated which mainly contain harmful gases in them. These gases, they get escaped into the atmosphere, affecting the quality of air we breathe. Clear? Next is fuels. We all know we use fuels either for cooking or for transport, right? Now you can see burning of coal here, burning of wood. Burning of coal, wood, they release carbon monoxide gas, okay, which is very poisonous gas. We'll understand why it is very poisonous gas later. But basically, burning of coal, burning of wood, it releases harmful gases. And even using earlier, you might have seen, maybe your grandparents might have used kerosene stoves. Okay, even burning of kerosene results in release of various harmful chemicals. Okay, burning of diesel and petrol, it releases black smoke. Why is it that it's releasing black smoke? It's because of presence of carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide in it. And also, now you can do the simple thing, go obviously every one of you, like your parents might have a scooter or a car, so you can go near the exhaust, not immediately when you have traveled in the car or the scooter, because then the exhaust will be very hot. So please don't try at that time, but after 1 or 2 hours, go in near to the exhaust and try to put your finger inside the exhaust and see that there are certain black substances which are produced. Okay, that's because of the carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and unburnt carbon particles which are present, which we call them as soot particles. Okay, these are released in the exhaust and they are highly harmful. Okay, through the exhaust, what actually comes smoke comes. Okay, the black smoke comes because of the burning of petrol and diesel. When this petrol and or diesel is burnt, it releases these harmful gases like carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and there will be unburnt carbon particles, which you can see them as soot particles, the black color that can be observed. So you can just go near the exhaust of your vehicles, whether it is scooter or car, and see that it's not hot. Okay, usually when you travel and come, then obviously the exhaust will be very hot, right? After 2 to 3 hours, then go to the exhaust and see. You can observe uh, that there are black unburnt carbon particles that we call them as soot. Okay, so fuel is another major source for pollution, air pollution. Then you might say, ma'am, what should we do? uh, like, in order for traveling, obviously cars and vehicles, they use petrol or diesel. So what can we do? Instead, go for CNG, okay, which is a natural and smokeless form of fuel or energy source, and it is a cleaner source of energy, cleaner fuel. Why? Because it doesn't pollute our environment. Okay, instead of burning the wood and coal, go for cleaner source, again CNG, or maybe use solar energy. Even that we will talk in the coming slides. But fuels are the major source for second major source for air pollution. Okay, because when you are burning wood, when you are burning coal, what actually happens is these harmful gases are getting released, and they get escaped into the atmosphere, damaging the earth's atmosphere, air quality. Okay, next is automobiles. As I just now, as we talked, obviously we use vehicles, right? Even to travel short distance, we take our scooter or our car, right? So these exhausts, they release lot of smoke, and the smoke is generated because of the burning of petrol or diesel, which is the fuel present in the vehicle, right? So if you see here, these in the urban cities, during the evening time, you can see the sky something like this, very very foggy. Okay, that means visibility is very less. Now try to understand, in winters, usually in the morning you can see the sky is foggy. That's because of environmental temperature and because of the production of fog. Okay, but when I say in the evenings you can see the sky, visibility is reduced, that's because of more amount of pollutants in the sky. And how are these pollutants getting accumulated? Because of the exhaust, or because of the smoke that gets released from the vehicle exhaust. Okay, so what can be done? We will talk about the prevention later, but even automobiles are major cause for air pollution. So what are the effects of air pollution? So we have seen the sources. It could be either the industries that we are building around us. We are thinking that we are like uh, we are developing by building industries, by urbanization. But try to understand, when you are building industries where you are generating products, but during this process many waste products are generated which are highly harmful, and without treating these chemicals you're releasing them into the atmosphere or into the water bodies, which can damage the natural source of air or water, making it unfit for consumption. So what are the effects? So one is industrialization, secondly we have seen fuels, third we have talked about vehicle exhaust, that is the smoke coming from vehicles, automobiles. Effects of air pollution on living things. Okay, what is the effect? Firstly, few people, they feel dizzy, some people get headaches because they are basically consuming harmful gases. They are not aware of it, because no, if someone knows that you are uh, if you are working in a laboratory, and if someone says you are working with a harmful chemical, there might be harmful gases which get released during this chemical reaction. Obviously you will wear a mask. But in the environment, we don't know that industries continuously, they release certain harmful compounds into the atmosphere. So obviously our environment around us is filled with these harmful gases, as a result of which people sometimes suffer with headache, irritation. And some people you can even see eye irritation. That means their eyes become red because of pollution, or they might feel their eyes to be very itchy. Okay, and in some members, you observe the symptom of nasal irritation. They start smoking. Sorry, they start sneezing. I'm sorry. Usually, people sneeze because of the harmful gases that enter. It irritates their nasal tissue, and thus they sneeze. And continuously if a person is exposed to these harmful gases, then it can result in lung cancer, which eventually if not treated can result in death of the person. Okay. And some people, they cough because it causes irritation in the respiratory tissue or the respiratory tract. In some people, if they are highly exposed to these harmful gases, or if the air that is present around them, if it is highly polluted, then they feel chest pain or skin irritation is seen. Okay, visibility is reduced. So you might have known, I think you know, that Delhi is a city which is highly polluted, right? And even government says that during periods of pollution, they tell children not to send them out for playing, or even their schools are shut and they do online classes if there is high levels of pollution in the environment, and they advise them to wear masks. Okay. So it's very important that we see, we'll talk about prevention of air pollution, but there are effects seen when such harmful gases are inhaled. Either it could be dizziness, headache, or nasal irritation, eye irritation, coughing, chest pain, skin irritation, to a very uh, high extent, that is lung cancer, where your lungs are getting affected because of continuous inhalation of high chemicals or harmful gases. I told you, if you remember, I told you carbon monoxide is a very poisonous gas. Now, when is carbon monoxide released? When they, during burning of wood, coal, or even in industries, certain industries produce these harmful gases. They release these harmful gases, which is carbon monoxide. Now, what happens is this carbon monoxide, which is present, it basically binds with hemoglobin present in our blood. You all know that blood is red in color, right? And why is it red in color? Because of a special pigment in it called as hemoglobin. Okay. So blood is red in color because of the presence of hemoglobin. And what is the function of hemoglobin? When you inhale oxygen gas normally, right? If you remember, we talked about respiration. We all inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, right? So basically, when you are inhaling oxygen, the oxygen which is inhaled, it should be carried to various parts of our body, to our brain, to the kidneys, to the livers, pancreas, to our fingers, toes, to all the cells. Oxygen must be carried. So, who carries it to various parts of the body? Hemoglobin carries the oxygen to various parts of our body. Okay, and thus, when each cell gets its oxygen, it will perform its function and our body is energized. Now, when you inhale carbon monoxide, what happens is, usually to hemoglobin, who will come and bind oxygen, and oxygen binds to hemoglobin, and hemoglobin carries the oxygen to various parts of the body. But when you inhale carbon monoxide binds to the hemoglobin, not allowing oxygen to bind. It forms a compound known as carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, so carbon monoxide binds to hemoglobin, forms a very tight complex. It doesn't allow oxygen to come and bind to hemoglobin. Carboxyhemoglobin is formed. Now, can, even if I'm inhaling oxygen, oxygen is unable to bind to hemoglobin, so person feels suffocated. Okay, and he can't breathe properly. And if there are high levels of carbon monoxide that you breathe, if you are breathing high levels of carbon monoxide, this carbon monoxide binds with hemoglobin, not allowing oxygen to bind, as a result of which the person feels suffocated, respiratory problems occur, and ultimately it results in death of the individual. So it's very important that you be away from this carbon monoxide. It's a very high, it's highly poisonous gas. It has high affinity to hemoglobin. It doesn't allow oxygen to come and bind to it. Okay, so once carboxyhemoglobin complex is formed, oxygen cannot bind, so oxygen is not carried to various parts of the body. The person feels suffocated, breathing problems arise, and finally death. It results in death. So it's very important that we have to see the sources of air pollution and try to prevent, because it's affecting our health and in turn causing death of an individual. So the air that we breathe must be pure, it must be devoid of harmful chemicals in it. Okay, so what can be done? We'll talk about prevention, but before we talk about prevention, let's talk about the effects of air pollution on non-living things. If you remember, I told you pollution is what? It's addition of harmful unwanted substances which is affecting the health of living organisms and affecting the quality of the environment around us, right? So pollution will blacken the buildings. Why does it blacken the buildings? That's because when there is high pollution, there is more amount of smoke that's getting released, more amount of dust that is getting released. So this dust and smoke, they get accumulated on the buildings, giving them blackened appearance. Okay. Secondly, damages the marbles of the building. That's again because of the smoke and the dust released from industries, released from vehicles. Okay. Corrodes metals. I hope you know corrosion. Now here you can see iron pipes. Now this pipes, they get corroded. That means their quality won't be that good. They react with oxygen, forming iron oxides, as a result of which your metal won't be strong. Immediately after some time, the metal breaks. Okay. Blackening of lead paints, tarnishing of silver objects. If you see the silver objects, because of the pollution, they become blackened, tarnishing. Okay. Blackening of silver, and nowhere the silver is retained. Okay. I hope you know silver is like it's a valuable thing, right? Metal, and silver is used in various things. Silver plates, silver vessels are used, utensils, right? If there is tarnishing, then obviously the silver doesn't hold its value. And so this tarnishing of silver is because of which gas? H2S, hydrogen sulfide. Okay, so if silver gets exposed to hydrogen sulfide, immediately there will be blackening seen on the silver objects, which you call it as tarnishing. Okay, now this tarnishing or corrosion or blackening of buildings because of dust or smoke, all these are the effects of air pollution on non-living things. If it's living things, it starts with eye irritation, nasal irritation, coughing, chest pain, to ultimate thing like uh, cancer or ultimate death of the person. One more thing I forgot to mention is I told you smoking is one reason for um, pollution. And during smoking, what harmful gas is released? Carbon monoxide. Okay, and people who smoke, okay, obviously their lungs get affected because of continuous smoking. And people who are around the person, for example, let's assume you have a friend who is smoking. Okay, and there are other group of friends. Okay, let's assume A, B, C, D, E. There are five members, of which A is smoking. Let's assume in this way. Okay, B, C, D, and E are friends of A. They won't smoke. They are just uh, in like in association, or they're closer to A. Okay, whenever they go anywhere, they go together. And obviously when A smokes, they're all together. Okay, now the smoke that is released by A, obviously B, C, D, and E inhale that smoke because they are in close proximity, they are nearby to each other. So when A is smoking, obviously the smoke that is released by A is inhaled by B, C, D, and E. Now that is called passive smoking. You are not directly smoking the tobacco, but you are inhaling the smoke which is released by another person. That is called passive smoking. And even passive smoking is not good. Even that will affect our health. That's why it's very important that we be away from people who are smoking. Is it clear? And smoking releases various harmful gases. It affects your own environment, and sorry, it affects your own health, and also you're causing damage to the environment. So two things a person who smokes does: they damage their own health, that is it can cause lung cancer, and even they're damaging the environment by releasing certain harmful substances like carbon monoxide. And if you are closer to a person who is smoking, you also inhale those uh, the smoke, and thus that is referred to as passive smoking. Okay, so we have seen the sources of air pollution. It can be the industries, fuels, or automobiles. And what are the effects of air pollution on humans and even on non-living things? So what can be done? Okay, now we understood what is air pollution, what are the causes of air pollution, what are the effects of air pollution. If you are living in a colony, society, or in a city which is highly polluted, what can be done in order to prevent this air pollution? Again, try to understand pollution is an issue which is at a global level, or it is environmental issue. Okay, it's not your own personal issue. So it's a group effort, it's a team effort. It's the responsibility of every individual to try and see that in that whatever is there in their hands, that they can do to prevent air pollution. Okay, so one thing is planting more trees. Okay, it's very important that we plant more and more trees. Why? Because if you plant more and more trees during the process of photosynthesis, what actually happens? Carbon dioxide is taken up by plants and oxygen is released. So there is more pure air that gets released into the atmosphere. But because of urbanization, what are we doing? We are cutting the trees and building more buildings, because there are many people who are coming from rural areas to urban areas, so they need houses. So in order to create houses, shopping complexes, hospitals and all, we are basic shopping complexes, whatsoever buildings, to create that we are cutting trees, we are doing deforestation. But that's the main cause of pollution. So to prevent air pollution, plant more trees. Secondly, factories need to have high chimneys, okay, high level chimneys, and these chimneys should have electrostatic precipitators in them. Okay, the chimneys should be very high, and these chimneys should have electrostatic precipitators where the harmful gases are converted into less harmful compounds and then released into atmosphere. Okay, thirdly, instead of burning wood and coal or burning kerosene to cook, use CNG, compressed natural gas, which is a cleaner source of fuel. It doesn't release those harmful compounds. And go for cleaner source of fuel like solar energy, tidal energy. Tidal energy is nothing but energy which is obtained by the raising and lowering of tides. You know, oceans, there are tides, right? Because of these tides, obviously because of the energy difference in the tides, the energy that is generated is the tidal energy. So use solar energy, tidal energy or wind energy for your activities. Okay, now many people, they are going for the electric vehicles, right? So, and instead of using your own vehicles, if it's a short distance, go for a walk or use bicycles or use public transport instead of using personal vehicle. And in Delhi, the Delhi government said that buses should not use diesel or petrol. Instead, CNG buses must be used. We all know burning of petrol and diesel releases the black smoke, again, which is a pollutant. So that's the reason Delhi government suggested to use CNG buses, where CNG is a cleaner source of fuel, right? So as a result of which, it's there is a chance of reduction in pollution. And one more thing is, get your vehicles checked for pollution check will be done. So at regular intervals, check for pollution levels in your vehicles. So these are some ways how air pollution can be prevented, either by planting more trees, using high chimneys in industries, and these chimneys must be incorporated with electrostatic precipitators. What do these electrostatic precipitators do? They convert these harmful gases into less toxic compounds and then release them into the atmosphere. Use natural or cleaner source of fuel like CNG, or smokeless source of fuel or energy like solar energy, tidal energy, wind energy. Instead of using your own personal vehicles, go for public transport. If it is a shorter distance, better go for a walk. And regular pollution control checks for vehicles must be done. Okay, and the Delhi government, what did it say? To replace vehicles using diesel or petrol with CNG buses. Okay, so this is how air pollution can be prevented. Okay, so though we are eating healthy diet, though we are taking rest, doing proper exercise, keeping our body clean, keeping our surroundings clean, but if the water that we are drinking, if the air that we are breathing, if that is not pure or that is contaminated, then obviously it will affect our health. So it's very important that even the air that we breathe must be devoid of pollutants. So people must be made aware. Okay, in rural areas, most of the people don't know about, like, if they're not educated now, every person knows in the present generation. That's because of digitalization. So every person has a mobile, they are getting to know about it. But earlier people didn't know that burning of wood or coal actually generates or releases more amount of smoke. Maybe you all know, in the cities we use stoves and all for cooking, right? Whereas in rural areas, obviously for cooking, they just light wood. Okay, they bring a group of logs or wood and or burn the coal and start their cooking. So for domestic use, they use Basically this wood, coal, charcoal, they burn it and use it for their cooking purpose, but they actually didn't know that it's the major, it releases smoke, it releases various harmful gases into the atmosphere. But now presently most of them know, so it's very important that people are made aware also, that whatever practices we are doing should be such that it doesn't damage our environment. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any doubts, feel free to comment it down below. If you haven't watched part 1 to 4, please do watch it from my playlist. And next class, let's discuss about the other pollution. As I told you, pollution can be of different types. It can be air pollution, it can be water pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution. Next class, let's discuss about water pollution. Okay, so enjoy the process of learning. Don't hesitate. Feel free to comment your doubts. And if you like my video, please feel free to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel, Biology Foundation. Enjoy the process of learning. Have a good day.